The world woke up to alarming headlines as tensions between Iran and the United States suddenly reached a boiling point. For decades, the relationship between these two nations had been fragile, filled with suspicion, political rivalry, and moments where the world feared that a single miscalculation could ignite something far bigger. But this time, it felt different. Military analysts began noticing unusual movements. Warships repositioned themselves across the Persian Gulf. Surveillance aircraft filled the skies. Intelligence agencies quietly warned governments around the world that something serious might be unfolding in the Middle East. For many observers, the events felt like the beginning of a dangerous chapter that had been building for years. To understand how the situation reached this point, we have to go back in time. The conflict between Iran and the United States did not begin overnight. Its roots stretch back more than half a century to a moment in history that permanently reshaped the balance of power in the region. In 1979, the Iranian Revolution dramatically changed the country's political system. The monarchy that had once maintained strong ties with Washington collapsed, and a new government emerged with a very different vision for Iran's role in the world. Relations between the two countries deteriorated rapidly. The most shocking moment came when militants stormed the American embassy in Tehran and held dozens of American diplomats hostage for over a year. That crisis became one of the most humiliating foreign policy moments in modern American history and permanently scarred the relationship between the two nations. From that point forward, distrust defined everything. Years passed and tensions never truly disappeared. Sanctions, diplomatic standoffs, proxy conflicts, and accusations of espionage became a normal part of the geopolitical landscape. The United States accused Iran of supporting militant groups across the Middle East. Iran accused the United States of trying to control the region and undermine its sovereignty. Meanwhile, ordinary people across the region lived under the constant shadow of potential conflict. Fast forward to the present day. Satellite imagery began revealing unusual military activity. Defense experts noticed aircraft carriers moving closer to the region. Missile defense systems were activated at several strategic bases. Rumors began circulating that intelligence agencies had intercepted communications, suggesting preparations for possible attacks. Governments across Europe and Asia started quietly advising their citizens to remain cautious when traveling in the Middle East. Then came the moment that changed everything. Late one night, explosions lit up the skies over several locations connected to military infrastructure. Reports began flooding in from journalists and eyewitnesses. Social media filled with videos of distant fireballs and the sound of air raid sirens. Within hours, the story dominated international headlines. The United States confirmed that military operations had been carried out against targets believed to be connected to Iranian strategic capabilities. Officials stated that the strikes were designed to prevent potential threats and protect regional stability. Iran responded with fury. Government officials in Tehran condemned the strikes as acts of aggression and vowed that there would be consequences. State television broadcast images of emergency crews responding to damaged facilities, while commentators warned that Iran would not remain silent. Soon after, the retaliation began. Missile launches were detected across several areas. Radar systems tracked projectiles moving toward military installations used by American forces in the region. Defense systems scrambled to intercept them as the world watched anxiously. For a brief moment, it felt as if time itself slowed down. Global markets reacted instantly. Oil prices surged. International airlines rerouted flights away from certain airspaces. Political leaders across the globe began urgent discussions about how to prevent the situation from spiraling out of control. The Persian Gulf, one of the most strategically important waterways in the world, suddenly became a focal point of global attention. Every day, thousands of ships travel through these waters carrying energy supplies that fuel economies across the planet. Any disruption could send shockwaves through the global economy. Naval vessels began increasing patrols in the area. Military commanders warned that even a single miscalculation at sea could lead to a much larger confrontation. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, diplomats worked frantically. Emergency meetings were held in international organizations. Leaders urged restraint and when emphasizing that escalation could have devastating consequences, not only for the region, but for the entire world. But on the ground, the situation remained tense. Reports surfaced of additional attacks, cyber operations targeting infrastructure, and increasing activity from armed groups allied with different sides of the conflict. For people living in nearby countries, the atmosphere was filled with uncertainty. Parents worried about their children. Businesses wondered whether supply chains would collapse. Travelers reconsidered their plans as governments issued warnings about the risks of regional instability. Military analysts began asking an important question. Was this the beginning of a full-scale war, or simply another dangerous chapter in a long history of confrontation? The answer was far from clear. Some experts believed that both sides would attempt to limit the conflict, avoiding actions that might push the situation beyond control. Others warned that once missiles begin flying, it becomes much harder to predict what will happen next. History has shown that wars sometimes start not with a single decision, but with a chain of events that gradually spiral into something far larger than anyone expected. As days passed, the world continued watching closely. Each new development carried the potential to reshape the geopolitical landscape. News broadcasts ran around the clock. Analysts debated possible outcomes. Social media became flooded with speculation, rumors, and theories about what might happen next. In moments like these, information becomes as powerful as any weapon. Governments released carefully worded statements while intelligence agencies attempted to separate fact from misinformation. For ordinary viewers trying to understand the situation, it sometimes felt like trying to piece together a puzzle where many of the pieces remained hidden. Yet one truth remained undeniable. The tensions between Iran and the United States had entered one of their most dangerous phases in decades, and the story was still unfolding. If the situation escalated further, it could reshape alliances, disrupt global trade, and impact millions of lives across multiple continents. For investigators, historians, and analysts alike, the events raised an important question. How did the world reach this point, and what might happen next? Because sometimes, the most important stories are not just about what has already happened. They are about what could happen tomorrow. And right now, the entire world is watching. If you want to follow this story as it develops and explore the deeper truths behind the headlines, make sure you subscribe to Ye the Detective, like this video, and share it with someone who wants to understand the real stories shaping our world.
Bombs will be dropping everywhere. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is the moment for action. Do not let it pass.